Hi, I'm Maddie Engstrom, and I'm going to be talking about the infrastructure of tunnels and how they're important to and from New York. After reading the works by Asher, I decided to connect transportation and water by referencing the tunnels. While bridges do a big part of this, tunnels also play a large role in the transportation that connects Manhattan, Long Island, and New Jersey. These tunnels require complex engineering and adaptation. For people to be able to commute, a complex tunnel needs to be built. Inside one of the tunnels, called the Holland Tunnel, there needs to be air constantly circulating, cast iron bolted together to carry the weight of the water above, and intense maintenance. The services to make sure these tunnels are up to inspection require $4 million every year. According to another source from the YouTube video, The Secret Infrastructure Beneath New York City by Cheddar, transportation of commuters isn't the only need for tunnels in New York. Beneath the surface consists not only wires for electricity, sewage pipes, water pipes, and heating pipes, but also more interesting things like mail tubes that would shoot up into post offices, old highways, and tunnels that were used for gang wars during the 1800s. I think both of these sources were very interesting because not only is transportation important above the surface on land and waterways, but there's also an underground city consisting of tunnels we usually forget about.
Hi, I'm David DeArmond. To start my presentation, I really wanted to go over the description of maritime freight by Asher in her book, The Works. So she doesn't get much into the explicit interconnected systems. What she does is really describe the inner workings and creation of waterways, ports, harbors, etc. The part of it that I found most interesting is the description of how they work and how they are created using dredgers to dig up silt, such as in New York City Harbor, to make it so that deeper and deeper ships can actually make it through without, running themselves on the ground. So simply what just seems something only isolated to waterways is actually a greater description, because think about all the resources and all the capital that actually has to go into the creation of these waterways. And looking at this relatively surface level interconnectedness, we can then go on to my other source, The Crucial Role and Importance of Waterway Transportation, which lists out a few individual and explicit true advantages of it. And the two that really stood out to me the most are them describing the both industrial and connected aspects of waterways. Because, of course, with ports, we're going to have global trade. That is a major interconnected system, but not one I really want to focus on. More so the job creation and all the capital that is being moved constantly backward and forth just to make these even possible. On the ports themselves, not even directly on the water, there's all sorts of machines, there's roads, there's electricity networks, there's all of these different connected systems working just to make a single port function. Even in the waterways themselves, it's not just tankers. There's so many regulations, there's so many systems put in places. You have to call in on certain radio channels so that people know where you're going, where you're coming from, and who you actually are. There's tugboats to lead these cargo freighters around. There's so much intricacy. There's so much interconnectedness among what seems like should be simple, just putting a boat into water and stopping it. But there's a lot there's a lot of work that actually goes into making this possible.
Hi, my name is Marie Zinman. I'm going to be discussing the video How Five Bridges Transform New York City from the Architectural Digest featuring architect Michael Weitzner, and I'm going to be comparing it to the Asher article, specifically the section about bridges. So both Weitzner and Asher talk about how New York City's boroughs, 4 out of 5 of them are on islands, and before bridges were super common, this made it very difficult to travel between the boroughs. It had to be done exclusively by ferry, which was dangerous and inconvenient, led to a lot of fatalities because of the rough waters. But the rise in bridge building in New York City completely transformed the way that New York City residents lived and worked and transported goods. And so Asher discusses 14 bridges. I will be talking about 5, the 5 that Weitzner mentioned. So first is the Brooklyn Bridge, which in 1883 was an absolute architectural wonder. It is a suspension and cable stay bridge. And at the time, the towers were the tallest structures in Manhattan and Brooklyn. And there's the Macomb Stam Bridge, This bridge is interesting because it is a swing bridge, which means it moves at a 90-degree angle to allow boats to get through when needed because the clearance underneath the bridge is not high enough for boats. And so it is still functioning, and it is a bridge that connects Bronx to Upper Manhattan. Then is the Hellgate Bridge, which is an arch and truss bridge. It was originally for trains, and it connected Long Island to the mainland. And the George Washington Bridge, which today is the busiest bridge in the world. It is over the Hudson River and is a suspension bridge that attaches Manhattan to New Jersey. And then lastly, the High Bridge, which was initially an aqueduct, actually, now a pedestrian bridge. And it's used as an aqueduct, greatly improved the health of the people of New York because of the it decreased cholera outbreaks and other problems that resulted from contaminated water. The aqueduct changed that. And so the importance of bridges in New York City cannot be understated, and they really formed the New York City into the cohesive place and area that it is today that allows for free travel and free movement among its boroughs.
Following this assignment's theme of freight and transportation, I chose to research the topic of the Port of New York and New Jersey that we discussed in class. This port is the largest in the world, stretching from the waters of both states, and as we discussed in class, it is the size of 3 Texas A&M campuses. In summary, the port is known for its great success, and as of recently continues to be even more successful in the year of 2024, with moving 8.7 million TEUs, which are 20 feet equivalent units. To keep up with the progress and plan for new urbanism, the master plan of 2025 for the port includes deepening the channel, expanding the roads and ramps for more traffic, all while trying to stay environmentally cautious, which Port Director Bethany Rooney adds to his confidence and support for this new plan. In Asher's publication, The Work, she speaks on 4 essential elements when it comes to the success of freights and ports, those being to commerce, technology, transportation, and the environmental impact. The data report on the Port of New York and New Jersey conclude that it greatly represents all 4 of these elements and is an amazing resource for trade and transportation for America.